NBC Sports presents the National League Championship Series. Tonight, it's Game 1. The Florida Marlins versus the Atlanta Braves.
These teams had the two best records in the National League this year, and although the Braves finished a comfortable 9 games in front of the Marlins in the East, Florida beat Atlanta 8 out of 12 times head-to-head. Tonight, from brand new Turner Field, the first of a best 4 out of 7 for a trip to the World Series. Hi again, everybody. Along with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Mr. Baseball Bob Uecker, I'm Bob Costas, and tonight, even more so than is usually the case, the story is pitching. Let's begin with Kevin Brown, 16-8 for the Marlins.
Well, Kevin Brown's the kind of a guy you love to play behind. No messing around, no trick pitches. He's got a great sinker, a good slider, and every once in a while a change of pace. He's one of those kinds of pitchers that loves to work inside. As a matter of fact, he hit 14 batters this year to lead the National League. And again, when you're talking about Kevin Brown, he's a workhorse. He's rested, Bob, 7 days. He better be well rested. He's scheduled to work games 1, 4, and 7 if need be.
The last two obviously on 3 days rest, barring rainouts, and Jim Leland puts it simply, that's our best chance to win, with Kevin Brown pitching 3 of the 7 games. Now, when we talk about Greg Maddux, who was 19-4, the comparisons are not so much to contemporaries, but to the greats of history.
Well, you're right. And control is his biggest asset. Like Satchel Paige, he could use a matchbox for home plate. He has a changeup that is great, a curveball, and a slider. But movement on his fastball and location are the keys to his success. Let's take a look at Greg Maddux pitching against the Astros. Look at this. Move off the plate, back on the plate. Now, this is what really helps him a lot of times. His catcher sets up off the plate, gives the target outside, he hits the target, and he gets the call from the umpire. Whenever he gets help from the umpire or from the hitters, he's going to be successful.
Have you ever seen anyone like him?
No.
Is he the best you've ever seen?
Maybe.
Well, we've got 9 innings to drag a more definitive answer out of him. Maddux getting ready. Brown warming up on the other side. The lineups and the first pitch of the National League Championship Series after this. Championship Series 3 times with the Pirates, lost all 3, the last 2 to Bobby Cox Atlanta Braves. Here's his Marlins lineup against Greg Maddux. White, Renteria, Sheffield, Bonilla. Conine, who hits .357 for his career against Maddux, starts instead of Dalton at first base. Alou, Johnson, Counsell, and Brown. Sheffield hit .324 in the season's final month just to get to .250. But the hot hitting continued into the division series, as you see.
And let's take a look at Greg Maddux, or should we say the magician. He's a control pitcher that works the corner, good movement on his fastball. He does not throw a lot of curveballs, but he will mix in a slider every once in a while. But the key is his control.
To call him a control pitcher is to deal in understatement.
Right.
In 233 innings during the regular season, he walked 20. This guy issues a walk about as often as J.D. Salinger issues a public statement.
Let's take a look at the defense that he'll have behind him tonight. Mark Lemke, we all know, is on the disabled list. There's Keith Lockhart. He'll be at second base, but Bobby Cox said he's been pleasantly surprised at how well Keith Lockhart has played second base.
Let's check on the health of both clubs as we go downstairs to Jim Gray. Jim.
Well, the Marlins report absolutely no injuries, but the Braves come into this series a bit nicked up. Chipper Jones has a very bad and sore right foot and arch. He came and received treatment all day today. He did not practice yesterday. He was sent home. Now, he will not be at full speed in terms of his running, but he will play. Now, as for the catching situation, Eddie Perez has been unable to crouch down since he took a foul ball into his groin last week. Well, he will catch tonight. It's been very painful, but his groin is okay now, and he will play. And finally, Mark Lemke will not be at second base. He's been out for 6 weeks. He has been hurt with a bad ligaments in his ankle, and they will send him to the Florida Instructional League tomorrow with the hopes that if the Braves should advance, Bob, that he would be ready for the World Series. Keith Lockhart will be in his place. Back up to you.
Jim, thanks very much. The veteran Devon White, who had the big Grand Slam home run from the right side in Game 3 in San Francisco, off the Giants' Wilson Alvarez as the Marlins completed the sweep, stands in against Maddux. Chipper Jones in close at third. Ball one, says Bruce Fremming, working the plate tonight. Fastball fouled off. Here's the rest of the umpiring crew. Six umps, of course, in postseason play, with the veterans Gregg and Pulley on the foul lines. Devon White was a member of the 1992 Toronto Blue Jays who beat the Atlanta Braves in the World Series. And a called strike, and White looks back in disbelief.
Well, he didn't appear to be ready to swing. Bob, watch. He's just kind of standing there. He doesn't stride. See, he doesn't even make a move.
That's not a strike either. That's a high fastball.
Now, you tell me.
But that was a better pitch.
Yeah, the preceding one was not a strike.
Well, I like to
that
see
one
that
looked like it was.
Ooh.
Well, we've had our first look at how far off the plate he's going to be able to go.
The 2-2 is lined toward the left field corner with Klesko in pursuit, and it's foul.
One thing about Maddux, Bob, he will go off the plate. He'll throw a lot of strikes on the corners. Then he'll continue to go off the plate until the umpire stops him. If they give him that pitch, he'll just keep going.
I wonder if he's going to go off the plate up on the screen for those high strikes, Joe. That's what really got White's attention.
A master at setting hitters up with the kind of mind that's 10, 12 moves ahead, recalling sequences from earlier in the game, earlier in the season. Rolled foul. It is impossible to outthink Greg Maddux.
You're right, because Greg Maddux does not think along with you. He's already made up his mind 2 days ago how he's going to make every pitch in every situation.
Works quickly as always and strikes him out.
That's what he does so well. He ends it with a great changeup. This is the first pitch, high and away fastball. You can see that he's taking on the first pitch. Now he's taking all the way right there for strike two, just off the plate inside. That's foul down the line. Another changeup, and the finishing cut, a changeup that moves away from the left-handed hitter.
The shortstop, Edgar Renteria, bounces one over the mound and by Lockhart into center field for a base hit. It's no surprise to see someone wailing away on the first pitch against Maddux. He's not going to walk you, so you might as well swing at the first one that looks good.
But that was the game plan the Houston Astros employed here the first game. They went out in the first inning on 4 pitches. So they were aggressive against Maddux, but it did not pay off.
Renteria stole 32 bases this year. He was caught 15 times.
And this is the only chink in Maddux's armor, in that he does not pay enough attention to the runners at first base. You're able to get a good jump because he feels like he's going to get a ground ball the next pitch if you stay there.
Ball one to Sheffield. The scouting report on him.
Well, he is a great fastball hitter. You're going to have to throw him a lot of breaking balls away and change-ups. And he will chase some pitches out of the strike zone when you get ahead in the count. But if you get anything over the middle of the plate, he'll hurt you.
Maddux's 1-0 pitch. Misses. Sheffield only about half as productive as he was a year ago when he hit 42 homers with 120 RBIs.
That's what Joe talked about a moment ago, that pitch just off the outside corner, and Bruce Fremming, as of right now anyway, thinks it's a ball.
This year, Sheffield hit just 21 homers with 71 driven in while batting .250. Like most people, he's never had much success against Maddux, although he did hit a homer off him on August 1st of this year. Called strike 2-1.
In most cases, when you get ahead of the hitter 2-0, ahead of the pitcher 2-0 as a hitter, you figure you're going to get a good pitch to hit. That was the example of why Greg Maddux is such a great pitcher. 2-0, he still nails the outside corner knee high. He does not give you a cripple when you're ahead in the count.
The runner goes on 2-1. Here's the throw from Eddie Perez. He bounces it there, and Renteria has stolen it on ball 3.
You can get a good jump on Maddox, as Renteria does here. Maddox really doesn't pay a lot of attention to him, as I mentioned earlier. Gets a good jump, and he beats the play easily.
Here it is one more time, that one-hop throw from Perez on the shortstop side of second base, and Renteria in there easily. Well, that's the one area where the Florida Marlins really are strong, with Charles Johnson behind the plate.
Sheffield ahead of Maddox, 3-1. Just off the corner, ball 4. That's about a month's quota of walks for Maddox right there.
In that situation, you knew he wasn't going to give in to Sheffield. You know, Sheffield hit 250, but he's still one of the most dangerous hitters in the major league, and he comes into this series swinging the bat well. So Maddox was definitely not going to give him a pitch to hit, 3-1.
You'd think with a guy like Bonilla coming up next, though, Joe, he'd be around there someplace.
Maddox has so much confidence in his ability to get the ground ball that he feels right now that he can get Bonilla to hit a ground ball. He's out of this inning.
His first pitch to the switch hitter is high. Smoltz has the best overall record among the Braves' Big Four in LCS play. Maddox just at 500. Greg is also just 2-2 in World Series play. Rolled foul, although he has pitched well in the World Series each time he's been called upon, but his record is just 2-2. In Division Series play, Maddox is 3-0, winning 1 game each of the last 3 years in the Division Series, including one against the Astros a week ago. Both he and Brown pitching on 7 days rest. And a called strike, 1-2. The postseason career record for Maddox you saw on your screen a moment ago evidently did not include the Division Series. So he's 5-5 between the LCS and the World Series. And he steps off. Maddox has been known to pitch complete games where he only throws around 80 pitches. So he's unleashed more than his usual amount in this first inning already.
And a little trouble here with the signs from Eddie Perez.
And that's unusual, Bob, because Eddie Perez is his personal catcher, and that's the reason he wants him to catch, is because they think alike in most cases. Having a few problems so far in this ballgame.
Change of pace here.
Down low, 2-2. Eddie Perez was struck in the groin by a foul tip about a week ago and hasn't been able to, forget about catch, hasn't even been able to assume a squatting position until yesterday, in a whole lot of pain, but able to answer the bell for game 1 as Maddox's personal catcher. Got him to go after a pitch in the dirt for his second strikeout of the inning.
It looked like another change of pace from Maddox. Here it is one more time. Yep, that's what it is. Change up downstairs and off the outside corner, and Bonilla couldn't check his swing.
And this is how it looks on the computer. You see if he throws the changeup, and it's not only is it off speed, but it goes down. And that's where the problem comes in if you're a hitter, trying to gauge the speed and the movement.
So now Conine, the veteran at first base tonight, hit .242 for the year. Ball 1. Ordinarily, Dutch Dalton, the former Philly, would play first base against a right-handed pitcher. But he's under 200 lifetime against Maddox, while Conine is 10 for 28, and that figures out to 357. In there.
That fastball, that sinking fastball from Maddox, I mean, comes back and catches the outside corner. That ball runs about 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches to come back and catch the outside corner. 89 miles per hour, 3 inches down, 2 inches away, and it comes back.
Hit hard, and it goes through McGriff's legs. The bases will be loaded at least, and Renteria stops at third on what has to be scored an error on Fred McGriff.
This is a very quick infield. The ball will really scoot, and this one does that on McGriff. He did not get the wicket down in time, and the ball went between his legs.
So on a single, a walk, and an error, the bases are loaded with 2 out.
Maddox already with 21 pitches here in the opening inning. That's a lot for him.
The surprising lineup that Leland gave for me was that Moises Alou, who led the team in RBIs, is hitting this low in the lineup. I know Conan swings well, but
Felipe Alou tips it foul. Make it Moises Alou. A bizarre flashback overtaking me. Envisioning Felipe, Matty, and Jesus. This, of course, the son of the Expo manager. Nothing but coffee today, too. Go figure. The 0-1. A ball and a strike.
Take a look at this ball that McGriff booted. It's very quick. It gets there before he can get down completely. And like I said, this is a very fast infield, and we'll see that throughout this series. Very quick.
Charlie Williams says no, there was no swing there at all. But Eddie Perez asked for them to check.
That's a slider off the outside corner from Maddox, and he wanted to check swing strike. Another look off the outside corner, and Bruce Fleming is not given that pitch here in the first inning.
2-1 pitch. Chipper Jones has it skipped by him. 1 run is home. Here comes Sheffield to score, and they're going to wave Conine around as well to play at the plate. The ball gets through Perez, and 3 runs score on a ball that very well could have been fielded by Chipper Jones. Maddox's defense betraying him here in the first.
Bob, you're exactly right. The one thing you have to do is knock the ball down in this situation. Chipper tries to make the play. Watch, he gets there, but he doesn't smother it. He tries to come up with it. You've got to throw your body at that ball. You can't let it go down the line with the bases loaded. If you knock it down, only 1 run will score. Instead, 3 score as they play very aggressive baseball. Good hustle by Conine. Here's the look. Right there, you've got to go forward. See, he went backwards on the ball, tried to play it on the big short hop. You've got to smother that ground ball.
Joe, you know, I think his foot is bothering him. If you look at it and watch the way he went after that ball, he looks like he's limping and really didn't get a good push off to make any kind of a try for that ball.
Well, you definitely think of him, an infielder is always told with 2 outs, you smother the ball.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that, but it sure looks like his heel is bothering him.
This is foul to the seats down the right side by Charles Johnson, with suddenly the Marlins in front 3-0.
Here's Jones again. Look at him move. He's moving very gingerly. And you're right. A diving try at least to try to knock it down, but it didn't work. Didn't go here.
So perhaps the sore right foot and ankle a factor on that play. And now Charles Johnson launches one down the left field line, but foul. Well hit ball, obviously.
Here's that last swing by Charles Johnson. That's a changeup hanging around the inside corner. He just got out in front of it and hit it foul.
And here's the speed. You see the speed is 84 miles an hour, and it moved down 5 inches.
A called strike 3. Maddox struck out the side, but on a double by Moises Alou that clears the bases, the Marlins lead 3-0. Trailing 3-0 before they ever get to the bat rack. Here's the order the Braves will send up against Kevin Brown. Lockhart in at second, as Jim Gray mentioned. Mark Lemke, who has had some big moments through the years in both the LCS and the World Series for the Braves, still inactive. It's possible that he could play if they get as far as the World Series.
And right-hander Kevin Brown with a 3-0 lead. Great sinking fastball. Change up every once in a while. Fastball tails away and into lefties, away from right-handers. Control, and a guy who, as I said, loves to pitch inside.
And his catcher, Charles Johnson, has not made an error in 171 straight ball games. He will probably win his 3rd straight Gold Glove this season.
Kenny Lofton stands in and takes a called strike. Lofton hit .333, as you see, but closed the year in a slump. Under 200 for his last 50 at-bats. Brown quickly ahead 0-2. Stake to a 3-0 lead. Pitch sharply to short. Renteria scoops it up. Little time to waste with Lofton running, 1 out.
3 sinking fastballs that time from Kevin Brown. Talked about him not messing around. Loves to pitch inside.
Here are the pitches. Those are the speeds of the pitches, and everything is sinking and moving away, and that's why he hit the ground ball to shortstop.
Lockhart, the former Royal. Both Brown and Maddox waste no time at all. They get it back, and they send it right back up there, 0-2.
I was saying earlier, and I know Joe feels the same way, you really love to play behind guys like Maddox and Brown. I mean, as a catcher, you put the sign, you better have a sign down, because if he's got the ball back, he's going to be winding anyway. You better have something down there. But nobody on the infield or the outfield is laying around, back on their heels. Everybody bang, bang, ready to go.
The 1-2 pitch is lined toward the gap in right center field. It gets down for a hit and maybe extra bases. Lockhart cruises into second with a 1-out double.
This pitch is up a little bit, but Brown's sinker is not like a lot of sinker ball pitchers in that he throws it 90-plus miles an hour, so he can afford to get it up sometime. This is just good hitting by Lockhart. The fastball in, it didn't move in as much as he wanted, and he lines it to right center field, and the hustle gets him into second base with a double.
Now Chipper Jones with a chance to atone in part for his inability to play the ball off the bat of Moises Alou, which was ruled a double. Could well have been ruled an error, but it turns into a 3-run double for Moises Alou. Even so, all 3 runs in the inning are unearned because of the error by Fred McGriff.
Chipper Jones has hit well in the LCS.
2-0 the count.
And true to the scouting report, he's going to stay inside on Chipper. You try to establish that you can hit the inside corner and then go off the plate. Brown has missed twice inside.
Kevin Brown is 32 years old, 6'4", 200 pounds, 16-8 this year. Last year, although the Cy Young went to John Smoltz, it could have gone to Kevin Brown. He was 17-11 with an ERA of 1.89 and won those 17 games despite the lowest run support in the major leagues a year ago. These are his figures from this year. Broken bat roller scooped up by Conine. Lockhart to third as Jones is retired.
Perfect pitch there. He got that slider right in on his hands, and that's what he's going to try to do the entire series. That's the way they're going to pitch Jones. Watch this pitch. It just tails right in there. It's a slider right on Jones' fist. Breaks his bat, and there it is. That's exactly what you want to do with Jones. Stay in tight. Don't let him extend his arms on you. Good play there by Conine.
Now McGriff. Ball 1.
He will pitch McGriff basically the same way, in and off the plate in, but he'll try to tail some fastballs away from McGriff.
falls behind him 2-0.
And this is Freddie McGriff. And the reason he hits so many balls to right field as compared to every place else is because they pitch him inside so much and then they go away. Thus, he does not use the middle of the field as much as he does the lines.
3-0 with Ryan Klesko on deck. He swings on the 3-0 pitch and taps it foul at the plate.
Not a bad thought by Bobby Cox. Maybe Brown will take a little bit off and just throw your batting practice fastball and let McGriff go for it. That pitch is still where Brown wants it, inside. As you see the computer, he stays right inside on him, and that's where they want to pitch him.
Lockhart at third with 2 out in the bottom of the first. And McGriff with a weak swing at it, and the count is full.
There's that fastball you were talking about, a wave, Joe. 93 miles an hour and had some sink on it. And again, McGriff chased inside the first time to get the foul ball 3-0, and a 3-1 fastball away that he missed.
The payoff is slapped through the left side, and the Braves are on the board.
This is good hitting by McGriff, and we showed you the graphic. He either pulls or he goes away. This pitch here is running away, and he just hits a line of drive between third and short. Let's take a look at this pitch. Fastball, 94 miles an hour over the outside part of the plate. It moved 5 inches down, and he hit it on the ground right in the hole.
That fastball was up too, Joe, high in the strike zone, and McGriff nailed it.
Klesko high and away. McGriff, whose error opened the door in the top half of the inning, gets one back in the bottom half. Klesko, the tying run at the plate, hit 24 homers for the year. Way high, 2-0.
Now, we talked about Maddox and his location being a little shaky in the top half of the inning. Kevin Brown here in the bottom half is experiencing the same problems. Those sinkers are upstairs, and I don't care how hard you throw, 94, 93, anytime you're throwing waist and above or in that area, especially with guys like McGriff and Klesko, you're going to have problems.
One thing I see is he's overthrowing the ball.
3-0. How much of that might be connected to a week's worth of rest?
Well, I think that contributes to it, and maybe the adrenaline. I mean, he's facing Greg Maddux in Atlanta. This is a big game for him. I mean, there's a lot of adrenaline flowing here in the first inning.
Klesko going 3-0 too?
We'll never know. He walks him on 4 pitches. 2 of the best control artists in the game. Maddux, one of the best of all time, pitching behind on the count in the first inning.
We can think of this as just another game, but it's not just another game. This is a big game for both of these pitchers. So you're always going to be a little nervous at the beginning of a ball game.
Now Michael Tucker. Called strike. Inside, 1-1. A double, a single, and a walk-off ground in this inning. A run home, 2 on, 3-1 Marlins. In there.
Well, a lot of hitters give up on a pitch like that against a guy like Brown or even Maddox for that matter. He starts it off the inside corner. You give up and it comes back. It tails back to catch the inside.
2-2. is signed from Charles Johnson. Inside, full count. And now with the runners off on the pitch, although Klesko doesn't run that well, an extra base hit might tie the game.
That's what I was going to say, Bob. You bet. 3-2, everybody moving. And this crowd really into it here tonight in the opening inning.
There they go, and here it comes. And the bases are loaded. The pitching coach, Larry Rothschild, to the mound.
The Marlins are going to talk things over here in the first inning. Kevin Brown, after being staked to a 3-0 lead, thanks to an error and a gift double, finds himself in a major jam now with 2 outs. It's a 3-1 ball game. And the one thing that you don't want to have happen has happened. This Atlanta crowd is really into it. You know, Bob, somebody asked me before the game tonight if I thought the crowds here in Atlanta were similar to what they had in Cleveland last night. They were saying it doesn't seem like the Braves fans really get into it. I don't think that's true at all. I mean, here they're on their feet. They got a big rally going here, and it's a 3-1 ball game.
Bobby Cox is going to his bench, and I've got to figure this is more about Eddie Perez's groin injury than it is about the game situation in the first inning. Perez had difficulty, as we told you, even squatting during practice since the end of the division series after catching a foul tip in the groin area. And perhaps after testing it out in the first, he told Bobby Cox he couldn't go. And in any case, Lopez is a much better hitter than Perez. And here's a situation where a base hit can get them right back into it. So Lopez hits for Perez in the bottom half of the first with the bases loaded, and obviously will stay in and catch Maddox. Swings on the first one. Slow roller. Charging is Bonilla. Throws on the run, and they're out of the inning. The Braves score 1, but leave 3. With Joe Morgan and Bob Uecker. Bob Costas back at Turner Field after 1, Florida 3, and Atlanta 1.
Maddox struck out the side in the first inning. Let's take a look. Beautiful changeup away to Devon White. Another one to Bonilla, and a fastball right on the outside corner. That's the way Greg Maddox pitches. He throws enough strikes to get the hitters to chase a few out of the strike zone.
So Javi Lopez is now catching Maddox as we move to the second. Here's Craig Counsell. And a called strike to the rookie second baseman out of Notre Dame.
And Counsell is in there for defense, Bob, because, you know, he's a good second baseman.
Both these pitchers need good infield defense. They throw ground balls. And a couple of thoughts off the first inning. If the Braves infielders aren't going to catch it, Maddox is in trouble, and it looks like Fleming isn't doing him any favors in terms of the strike zone. Which is not to say he's miscalling the pitches, he's just not giving him any advantage. And Counsell starts the second with the third hit off Maddox.
Now we're going to take a look at the error, the ball that was called a double that Chipper Jones made. Now watch, he should go this way. Instead, he goes back, and that gets him the in-between hop. See, he goes backwards instead of across to get to it. See, and he gets the in-between hop, and it's a very tough play. If he'd have gone straight across, I think he could have smothered the ball.
Kevin Brown in a sacrifice situation. With Devon White at the top of the order on deck. Chipper Jones moving way in. The runner breaks, and Brown swings and fouls it back.
Well, the Braves had that defense perfectly, though. The second baseman was not covering. And Jim Leyland trying to help his team out. And I believe you have to do things like this when Maddox is on the mound. Not necessarily with your pitcher, but you have to hit and run. You have to steal a few bases.
Well, in a bunting situation, you think Maddox is going to lay one in there. I mean, to let a guy take a whack at the first one anyway, it's going to be a fastball strike.
Now he squares and gets a bunt down. It's a good one. Maddox to Lockhart covering at first. Successful sacrifice. Devon White strolls to the plate. A look at what we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast. Head-to-head, the Marlins outplayed the Braves. 8 of the 12 games happened in a stretch of less than 2 weeks in early August. And in general, the Braves had a slow August. But that doesn't change the fact that the Marlins proved to themselves that they could play with the team that over the last 5-6 years has been baseball's best.
The confidence they gained in beating the Braves this season series is showing up a little bit here in the ball game today already. I believe that hitters are more aggressive. They feel more comfortable against Greg Maddux.
0-2 to White, who struck out to start the game. Unearned runs in the top of the first. Atlanta got one back in their half. And he goes down on strikes for the second time.
Same pitch.
That change of pace again. Devon White out on strikes for the second time tonight. There it is. Fastball strike. Fastball swinging a foul. Off the outside corner with a changeup, and he chased it.
Renteria singled, stole a base, scored a run. Takes a strike. When you think about Maddux and the great pitchers of all time, most of the names that come to mind are the names of power pitchers. Koufax, Gibson, Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson among contemporaries. Sliced foul. The difference is those guys electrified. Maddux mystifies.
That's a good way of putting it. Maddux intimidates hitters, not like Koufax and all the great power pitchers. They intimidated him with speed. He intimidates them with finesse.
Ahead of Renteria, 0-2. Low, 1-2.
They're getting a lot of movement out there on the infield. Blauser's in talking to Maddux now because he was moving when Maddux threw that pitch. He was moving towards second base. Too much movement going on out there between the infielders at this point when he's throwing the ball.
In the air to right, Michael Tucker is under this, and he's got it for the third out. No runs, a hit, a man is left, and we're back after this. 445 days and nights ago, this ballpark was the site of the opening ceremony for the Centennial Olympic Games. Of course, it's been reconfigured since then. That area in the foreground essentially disappeared, and the ballpark contracted to become more of a baseball facility. With a capacity of just over 50,000. And here's Kevin Brown hitting Jeff Blauser to start the bottom of the second. He hit 14 men, as Bob Uecker mentioned at the beginning of the game. That's the most in the National League.
Well, Jeff Blauser gets it this time. Inside sinker got him just above the elbow on the back part of the arm. And he loves to pitch inside, not that far inside, and especially on the leadoff man here in the Atlanta second inning.
I was surprised it took so long for Rothschild to come out in the first inning and talk to Kevin Brown, because it still appears to me that he's just trying to overthrow the ball.
Maddux, a pretty good butter. With the exception of the pickoff move, as Joe mentioned, he helps himself in every other way. He hit just 104 this year, but as you see for his career, he's not a bad hitter at all. That's true of many of the Braves pitchers, especially Glavine and Smoltz. He's also won 7 Gold Gloves. So he does all the little things to help himself out. He pulls the bat back, chops it over Bonilla, but foul.
Well, that's twice tonight that pitchers, Brown up there to sacrifice, took a whack at the first pitch, and now Maddux, after showing bunt, and with Bonilla playing very shallow at third, here it is again. get the bat back, take a whack, and he bounces it over Bonilla's head, but just foul.
And to put that batting average in perspective, Bob, a 172 average is good for a pitcher, starting pitcher. A 200 average for a starting pitcher is like a 300 average for an everyday player. So he's 285, something like that. So that's good hitting.
I wish I'd have pitched.
He bunts it foul. Heck, you were
200.
Yeah,
I've been in there.
15, 20 points above the bar.
Oh, man. I've been above the bar a lot of times. Below the bar, too. Man, I wish I'd have known that.
Bobby Dews.
Pat Corrales is the coach for Bobby Cox at first. The question is, does the bunt stay on with 2 strikes? There's the former Texas Philly and Cleveland Indian manager. He tries to bunt with 2 strikes, and it goes in the book as a strikeout. Folks, you can follow the baseball postseason online at MLBWorldSeries.com. Log in for daily player chats with some of the biggest names in the game in the BigLeaguers.com chat session. Plus, listen to all the post-game press conferences through AudioNet and test your knowledge with baseball trivia. That's what the page looks like today. It's all at MLBWorldSeries.com. So bunting foul with 2 strikes. Maddox strikes out. That brings up Lofton, who grounded to short his first time, and strike 1 to him.
You weren't making light of that players' chat room, were you?
No, no.
Sounded like it.
No, no.
Okay.
Encouraging the fans to log on.
I'm with you.
One and one. Tried the corner and missed. 2 and 1. Lauser is at first with 1 out. Marlins lead it 3-1 as the Braves bat in the bottom of the second. 2-2 to Lofton. A member of the Cleveland Indians, of course, when they lost to the Braves in 6 in the '95 World Series. Lofton hit .333. But the fall-off has been on the bases. He stole just 27 this year. Full count to him. Stole 27, Joe, while being thrown out 20 times.
Very poor ratio. As we get another look at this fastball up and in to Kenny Lofton. You see that rotation is moving towards him. And Lofton able to get out of the way.
The runner goes on 3-2, and it's hit hard, but Counsell gobbles it up and gets Lofton at first.
And that's why they have him in there. They want some better defense at second base. Kurt Abbott is a better hitter, but Counsell does a great job on the infield.
That ball almost looked like it hit Blauser as he went by, but Counsell on a nice pickup and an easy play to retire Kenny Lofton.
So Blauser in scoring position with 2 out for Keith Lockhart, who doubled to right center his first time up. In the air to left center. Alou on the run, and Moises Alou gets there to end the inning. Blauser is stranded, still 3-1 Florida. Marlins leading the Braves by 2 as they come to bat in the top half of the third at Turner Field. Sheffield, Bonilla, and Conine to face Maddox. Sheffield walked and scored on the bases loaded double by Alou in the first.
Boy, what a difference it makes with Maddox, and again with a guy like Sheffield, who he's trying to stay away from. But those pitches just off the outside corner, both ways, by Brown and by Maddox, are being called balls by Bruce Fleming. There's a strike. That's a heck of a weapon when you take it away from him, Joe. talking about Maddux because he's so good at doing it, so very good at doing it.
His 1-1 pitch is hit deep to center field. Lofton going back to the track, to the wall, and off the edge of his glove. Sheffield on his way to second. Now thinking about 3. And he's in there. That's the kind of play, although by no means routine, that you expect Kenny Lofton to make.
Well, when the ball was hit, I actually thought it was going out of the ballpark. It's a slider away. Sheffield goes out there and gets it, and he drives it to right center field. Lofton got a great jump on it. Now watch, when he gets to the wall, he just can't make the catch. Now here's where he makes a real big mistake. He made a bad throw back. Now here's the flight of the ball. He is there, but he misses the ball. It goes off the tip of his glove as he's running into the wall. But now here's the mistake. Watch, he overthrows the cutoff men. There are 2 of them there. Look, he overthrows both of them, and Sheffield goes to third.
And the truth is that Sheffield was not running hard with the crack of the bat, and had Lofton hit the cutoff man, they might have had a play on Sheffield at third.
Sheffield looked like he was going to pull up at second base, Bob, and then slowly went around second and goes to third again on the overthrow by Lofton. That was a ball that he should have caught. He was there in plenty of time.
Well, they gave him an error on it. Although I don't think you should give a guy an error on this ball because he's running into the wall. He should catch it. There's no doubt he got there, but that's not an error. He ran a long way for the ball. And his throw, look at this throw. He overthrows 2 cutoff men, not 1.
You know, and knowing Kenny Lofton, Joe, and watching him play as long as we have, I mean, I don't mind seeing that scored as an error. That's a ball he should have caught.
Well, no doubt he should have caught it, but most of the time that's scored a base hit.
This time it goes as a 3-base error to open the third. It's the second Atlanta error, and the double by Alou that played at 3 could have been ruled an error on Chipper Jones. 2-2 to Bonilla, who struck out his first time.
The Braves are playing the infield in. They know they cannot afford to fall too much farther behind. It's 3-1, and they're going to play the infield in, trying to cut the runoff at the plate.
Full count.
Well, he struck Bonilla out on a changeup his first time up. Missed again. That was a changeup he missed with at 3-2.
Couldn't get him to bite. The second walk of the night issued by Maddux. Game 2 of this series, Alex Fernandez against Tom Glavine, 4 Eastern time here on NBC. And then the ALCS with the Indians, fresh off the scintillating 3-2 victory in terms of games, 3 out of 5 against the Yankees. They open the ALCS against the Orioles on Fox tomorrow night. Conine to the plate. Infield moves back for the double play, except at the corners. We're only in the third, but already this could be called an atypical game for Maddux. Struggling by his standards with his control, and his defense doing strange things behind him. Maddux season high for walks came on June 2nd against the Padres. 3.
I'll tell you, that he's unbelievable. I mean, 20 walks for 230-plus innings is totally unheard of.
He's walked 2 already tonight and pitched behind on several counts.
I tell you, he's given these hitters, Marlins hitters in the first couple of innings, I think more pitches to hit than you normally see Greg Maddux give in maybe 6 innings, 7 innings of work. But they've had some good whacks against him early.
Fastball is in there, 1-2.
This is the movement he has on his fastball. Now watch, this pitch is outside. Watch the movement bring it back over the plate. Right over the outside corner. And let's take a look. The movement, it starts off the plate and just comes right back on the corner.
Here's the 1-2. And Conine fouls it off. Chipper Jones is even with the bag, although off the line a bit at third. And McGriff is holding Bonilla at first. The middle of the infield looks for two.
Normally in this situation, a ground ball at third, you would go for two also. But because it's Kevin Brown, they're down 3-1, they may not give up another run to the plate.
Conine serves one into right. Tucker comes racing in, makes the catch, pegs it to the plate. Sheffield drew a throw, but he's not going anywhere. And if he had been so bold, he would have been out by about 20 feet.
A good play by the right fielder, Michael Tucker. He makes the charge on this semi-line drive. Conine really didn't hit it all that hard, but here comes Tucker with a good running catch, and a one-hop strike to Lopez holds Sheffield at third.
And the key to this is that he hits the cutoff man. Watch, Freddie McGriff could have cut this ball off. In fact, he has to move out of the way, and that's a perfect throw to the plate.
This is a key inning for Florida, Joe, as you mentioned. That's a big run at third base. Despite the fact that it's only the third, it's still a big run there. They lead 3-1 now.
Bobby Cox managing in his 6th consecutive National League Championship Series. Moises Alou, his bases-loaded double, produced the 3 Marlin runs in the first.
Take a look at the scouting report. He's a good first ball, fastball hitter. He will chase the fastballs up and away, but you got to throw him a lot of breaking balls, as Maddox did in the first inning, and you see staying away. He's going to stay away from both Alou and Sheffield because they're such good fastball hitters middle of the plate in.
One and one.
The Marlins need here is at least a fly ball. At least a fly ball from Alou to get Sheffield in. Here it is again. There's that little tailing fastball coming back to catch the outside corner. Off the outside corner, 89 miles an hour. Starts it off the outside that catches the corner.
Now he's ahead of Alou, 1-2.
The one thing we have not seen from Maddox this entire evening is a curveball. And every once in a while, when he needs a strikeout, he will throw a curveball to some right-handed hitters.
Now he wants to talk with Lopez. When we mentioned Maddox's 3-3 career League Championship Series record, remember that includes 2 bad outings for the Cubs in 1989 against the Giants. Maddox was a good pitcher then, but he didn't become the pitcher who is now compared to the all-time greats until 1992, when he won the first of the 4 consecutive Cy Young Awards. Won that in his last year with Chicago, then won 3 more in his first 3 years with the Braves. A slow roller. It'll be very tough to get to. Their only play is at first. Alou is out, but he gets credit for his 4th RBI of the night as Sheffield comes across.
Well, Maddox called him out because he wanted to be sure that he could throw him a changeup in that situation that he didn't think he was looking for, but he gets defeated in that Alou hits it off the end of the bat. Slow roller to third. Only play Chipper Jones has is to first base. You see him take a look at the plate, but he really didn't have a shot there, so he throws Alou out at first base, and the Marlins do get their run.
Their 4th unearned run to lead 4-1.
Here again, the only play he has is first base, and it's a nice play.
A strike to Charles Johnson. He fanned his first time up. And Maddox ahead of him 0-2. The Marlins scoring without benefit of a hit here in the third. Sheffield with a long drive to right center, which Lofton tracked down at the fence, but then couldn't catch. They ruled it a 3-base error. Eventually, Sheffield comes home on a slow roll to third by Alou. 2 out and Bonilla at second. He drew a walk following the Lofton error. chalk and in there for a base hit that will make it 5-1. Johnson with an RBI double. And the Marlins lead Maddox and the Braves at Turner Field 5-1 in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series.
That looked like an 0-2 changeup. And Charles Johnson went down and got it and rifled it down the line and left for a double. 5-1 now. There it is. That ball just inside the line. And it's a double. Eric Gregg tells you it's fair. Again, a 2-strike changeup. And Johnson with a run-scoring double.
Brown, the pitcher, next, so they'll intentionally walk Craig Counsell. Unearned runs off Greg Maddux.
His defense has betrayed him in this ball game, but he is not throwing as well as he was against the Astros on Tuesday. Plus, some of these Marlin hitters are a little better hitters than the overall lineup that the Astros threw at him on Tuesday. And lost in this inning, the fly ball off the bat of Sheffield in the first inning should have been caught. Chipper Jones, we've seen just numerous misplays.
A strike to Brown with the intentional walk. Maddux now has passed 3, equaling his season high.
When he walked 20 for the entire season, 6 of those were intentional walks.
Two to Brown with Johnson at second, Counsell at first, and 2 more runs home in the third. And he stays alive.
You know, Joe, with a pitcher hitting against Maddux, it seems as though they go up there and they get pretty decent hacks because he's not really frightening. I mean, like some guy who's out there throwing 95, 98 miles an hour, and with a big breaking ball to go along with it. Maddux doesn't have that real big curveball. Basically a fastball slider, and pitchers seem to hang in there a little bit more against him.
And Brown hangs in again. Does that pattern tell you anything at all, Joe?
Well, yeah, the call strikes.
Well, he gets Brown swinging, and we'll let you elaborate on that when we come back. 2 more for Florida to up the advantage to 5-1. Down by 4 as they bat on the bottom of the third. Part of the order starting with Chipper Jones.
This is a scouting report and must pitch him inside. That was exactly the way they pitched him the first time up. Fastballs in, and they got him with a slider in, and he broke his bat and hit a weak ground ball to first base. So that's the pattern that they will use. Sliders and fastballs in, and they will try to run the fastball away occasionally.
Jones grounded out his first time up. Kevin Brown in front of Greg Maddux, 5-1. On the first pitch, here's a high drive to center. This ball is carrying. This ball is way back and gone beyond the leap of Devon White.
The scouting report said, beware of the fastball out over the plate. Watch where this pitch is. Right over the middle of the plate. See, it moves back. He was trying to throw the fastball in, but it moved back out over the plate, and Chipper Jones drove it over Devon White and the yellow line for a home run.
Now Fred McGriff chops one to Conine, who retires him unassisted.
Boy, what an easy swing by Chipper Jones. And there you see the flight of that ball getting out of here in left center field. There you see Devon White with a great effort, and Kevin Brown's reaction. High outside fastball, right down the middle, as Joe said.
He knew he made a mistake.
Absolutely.
And ball 1 to Ryan Klesko. For a guy who relies on throwing that heavy sinker, a lot of Kevin Brown's pitches have been up tonight.
And I think part of that is because he's overthrowing the ball. I think he's trying to throw it a little too hard. And I think part of that is adrenaline.
And again, the 7 days rest that we talked about, guys like Brown who do throw that big sinker, and that was the ball that Chipper Jones hit, a 93-mile-an-hour high sinker. And again, with guys like Brown, when they get that much rest, it seems sometimes they do overthrow. There that pitch was right down the pipe, and Jones hit it out. You see those relievers, Joe, the guys who come in there and throw that great sinker, the more they work, the better they are because they lose a little bit of velocity. I'm not talking about Kevin Brown losing velocity, but certainly he's upstairs because of maybe lack of work.
He fans Klesko, the second strikeout for Kevin Brown tonight. And it brings up Michael Tucker, who walked in the first. Two out, nobody on. A run home on the Jones home run. One and one. Inside. This is Brown's second year with the Marlins, both of them outstanding. In 1995, he was with Baltimore. Prior to that, 6 years with Texas. 3 balls and a strike. That stretch with the Rangers included a 21 victory season in 1992. Full count. Just missed inside, and Tucker walks for the second straight time. Tomorrow, catch the series premiere of Working.
Very happy to be here, Mr. Deal. Call me Tim. Nobody around here pulls any power trips. Have a seat in a little chair.
Don't miss the series premiere of Working, starring Fred Savage, tomorrow on NBC. Although I've got a feeling when that thing with the little chair happens in the show for real, the laughter might be muted because you folks have seen it about a dozen times.
I love that scene. I really do. I love that scene. Honest. I really
Still
do.
gets you every time, huh,
I
you?
got it taped. I play in the room all day. No, really, I do. That scene makes me laugh. It really does.
Javi Lopez didn't start the game.
I'm easily amused. I should point that out.
Goes without saying. Replaced Eddie Perez in the bottom half of the first. Pinch hitting for him with the bases loaded and 2 out. He grounded out to end the inning. Lopez was the MVP of last year's LCS victory over the Cardinals. Braves were down 3-1, roared back to win the next 3 and go to the World Series. 1-2.
You know, we talked about this being a pitching duel tonight between Maddox and Brown. Hadn't been a 1-2-3 inning yet.
Two balls and 2 strikes. A swing and a miss, and that'll finish Lopez and the Braves in the bottom of the third. They get one back on the Chipper Jones home run, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station. Top of the order in the top of the fourth. Devon White, who has struck out twice against Greg Maddox, runs up to drop a bunt, and Javi Lopez pounces on it and takes care of him at first.
Well, he finally got a good play in the field there by Javi Lopez. Take a look at this. The first inning, McGriff right through his wicket. That should have been the third out of the inning. Chipper Jones could not knock this ball down to keep it on the infield. Right there, the wall coming up. Lawson cannot make the catch on the leadoff fly ball from Gary Sheffield. So a lot of defensive mistakes have contributed every inning to them scoring some runs.
5 unearned runs and a 5-2 lead. A ball to Renteria, who is singled and fly to right. Renteria, just the 4th player from the nation of Colombia to play in the major leagues. Preceding 3 was a big star, so he's got a chance to be the best his country has produced at the major league level. Good-looking young shortstop.
And he had 5 game-winning hits in the bottom of the innings, like from the 9th inning on, for the Marlins this year. They went 5 ball games. I mean, where you walk off the field, there's no better feeling than that.
Including Game 1 of the division series against the Giants. That ever happened to you?
Not real often, Joe. Like most of the time during the offseason.
And those wiffle ball games in the backyard. The 2-2 moves him away, full count.
I got an intentional walk from the Dodgers once, and they got a letter from the commissioner about it.
Making a mockery of the game.
Didn't say it in those words, but it was something like that.
Sliced foul. Sheffield will be next. Maddox was 19-4 this year, skipped his last scheduled start to be rested for the playoffs, so bypassed an opportunity to win 20. He'll be way up there in the Cy Young voting, but the best guess is he will not win his 5th this year. And he spears that one. That's why he's won 7 consecutive Gold Gloves.
Well, he said if they can't catch it, I'll have to catch it myself.
This is that last comebacker. One hopper. Maddox with a nice play. Ball hit fairly hard by Renteria. And throws him out easily.
He and Steve Carlton, the only 4 times Cy Young Award winners, although Roger Clemens might win his 4th this year in the American League. Most people think he will.
Well, that was a purpose pitch right there. He had pitched Sheffield away the first 2 times up. He went out and got the slider to hit it to right center last time, so he's going to keep him honest by coming off the plate inside this time. But you definitely want to pitch him away, but that sets up the outside corner for him.
Tell you, if there's any hitter in the American League or National League that I'd rather not knock down, it's this guy.
This ball is hit hard to center. Lofton got a late break on the ball, but closes ground to make the catch. Maddox looking back, wondering what's going on behind him tonight. On to the bottom of the 4th, with the Marlins leading at 5-2. Jeff Blauser steps in and takes a strike from Brown, who hit him with a pitch his first time up. No surprise there. Brown led the league by plunking 14 hitters this year. One of them might have cost him a perfect game. He pitched a no-hitter against the Giants in San Francisco on June 10th, and the only base runner was Marvin Bernard, who was hit by a pitch in the 8th inning. One and two. That's how good Brown can be when he's really sharp. He also threw a 1-hitter in July against the Dodgers, yielding only a single to Raul Mondesi. 2-2. When that heavy sinker is really working. There are very few in Kevin Brown's class.
You're right. I think he has that Bob Gibson mentality. It's not his fault if you can't get out of the way.
That one knocked the glove off of Charles Johnson on an inside sinker. And a check swing by Blauser. Watch this. That took the glove right off of Charles Johnson. Again, the check swing, foul tip, pow. Bruce Fleming, they have a 3-2 count up there. He fouled that ball. Well, scoreboard showing 3-2. Bruce Fleming just said no, that he fouled that ball. It's 2-2, I believe.
Blauser whacks one into center. There's a leadoff hit.
Here's that last pitch, and again it was up. It looked like a slider that time that backed up a little bit and ended up right down the middle, and Blauser knocks it in the center field for a base hit.
And a fastball away, another fastball away, 3 out there, 1 in and right down the middle.
Maddox looks to bunt. He struck out trying to bunt his first time up, bunting foul with 2 strikes. And he can't get it done this first time either.
Well, it's not easy to bunt that heavy sinker. The ball is moving. It's not easy to bunt. Plus, Maddox knows he wouldn't mind hitting him either if he throws it inside.
That's what I was talking about before. You know, that little fear with some guys, a guy like Kevin Brown who throws so hard and has that ball pour in on you.
This ball is hugging the line. Somebody better pick it up in a hurry, and finally Charles Johnson does to counsel covering as Blauser moves up on the sacrifice.
Well, that's good drainage here from the watch this ball. This ball should go foul. Look at this. The ball starts foul and it comes back fair, and then it just stays right there. As you mentioned, Charles Johnson picks it up finally and throws him out.
That'll tell you how this infield slopes, Joe, as far as people wanting the bunt goes.
Look at that. I mean, that ball started foul, came back fair, and just stayed right there. And Maddox gets the job done.
Lofton is 0 for 2. A liner speared by Conine, throws in behind the runner, and there's a double play. So just like that, Blauser is erased, and the DP ends it in the 4th.
The Braves have made mistakes in the field and at bat, and now they make a mistake on the bases. This ball is not hit that hard. And see how deep Conine is? He has plenty of time to make sure this ball gets over his head. And watch, Conine is way back. This is a long line drive. This is not a short line drive. And you have to make sure it goes through, and he's out at second base, ending a threat.
Leading off in the 5th, it's Bonilla, who has struck out and walked. Maddox has fanned 5 and walked 3. 0-2. Earlier, we made note of the number of foul balls, swinging strikes, and called strikes Maddox was getting tonight. Did you decipher anything in those figures?
Yes, he usually gets more called strikes than he had in that situation.
And he gets one there to finish Bonilla.
Couple at bat, and that's the way Maddox is. He usually gets a lot of called strikes.
He looks like he's starting to zero in now. There was those last 2 fastballs right on the outside corner. Right on the corner. Little tail on them and right on the outside corner. Strike 3.
Conine fouls it to the screen. Here's the last pitch sequence.
Well, he threw a fastball on the outside corner, another fastball, and that was strike 3. Everything away from Bonilla that time.
Toward the hole, Blauser to his right, backhands and throws and gets it. This series continues tomorrow afternoon at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Alex Fernandez will be on the hill for the Marlins, facing Tom Glavine right here at Turner Field. 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Game 2 of the NLCS tomorrow on NBC. Then an off day Thursday. Games 3, 4, and 5, if necessary, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Florida. Moises Alou, 4 RBIs. 3 of them on a bases-loaded double past Chipper Jones in the first. The other on a slow roll at a third, which brought Sheffield home in the third. 2 outs, nobody on, and a ball and a strike to Moises Alou. Perfect night for baseball here. Temperatures got up over 80 during the day. Very comfortable here right now. Had him completely fooled there, 1-2.
Let's take a look at this sinker ball from on the computer. This will tell you how much the ball sinks. As you see, this is the trajectory it's on, but it ends up going down here. And the hitter's looking up here, and then they have to chase it down. That's what makes it so effective.
Line foul, and it holds 1-2.
That time Maddox trying to get inside after that change of pace. Javi Lopez setting up inside, and Maddox trying to sneak that fastball in there on Alou. But watch this quick turn by Moises Alou. That pitch was a strike on the inside corner, and he rifled it foul. Tough pitch to hit fair. I mean, if they're inside that much and Alou crowds the plate the way he does, it's tough to hit it fair.
Maddox has it, and he works his second consecutive 1-2-3 inning. Up come the Braves in the last half of the fifth, trailing 5-2.
Welcome back to Atlanta. I'm Jim Gray. I'm now joined by Mark Lemke, the second baseman for the Atlanta Braves. He's been out for 6 weeks, torn ankle ligament. Mark, could you have played in this series, and how difficult is it for you to watch now?
Well, I think I could have played, but when you're talking about a 25-man roster that has to be set before, and if you remove the guy after game 1 or game 2, it'd be a tough decision to go one man short. But and being tough to watch, it's very tough to watch. But hopefully our team can come through here and win this one tonight.
A couple of very uncharacteristic errors by the Braves in the first couple of innings.
Yeah, it was a couple of tough plays though. It was a tough ball hit at Freddie, and Kenny went a long ways for that one. But hopefully we can bounce back from it, and those things happen.
Now you're going to go down to the Florida Instructional League tomorrow. Is it your hope that you'll be able to play in the World Series should the Braves advance?
Definitely. I think this is something that needed to be done to prove to myself and to the organization here that I am able to play. And hopefully with that, I'll be able to continue on if we get through this series.
All right, Mark, we look forward to seeing you.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
All right, Bob, back up to you.
Here's the man who replaced him in the lineup, Keith Lockhart, who has hit the ball very hard twice tonight off Kevin Brown. He doubled to right center in the first and lined to left in the second. Fouled off his foot, and that's going to sting a bit.
Well, that's what happens when you get that inside slider or an inside sinking fastball off the inside corner, and Lockhart hit right down on this ball and drove it off his instep. Watch this. Drove it off his front foot. And it got him.
Lockhart hit .279 for the year with 6 home runs. 2-2 the count. He'll be followed by Chipper Jones and Fred McGriff in the Atlanta fifth. They trail it 5-2. Each team has 4 hits. Line foul. One of Atlanta's 4 hits was a solo homer by Chipper Jones, but the Braves also have 2 errors, and not to belabor the point, a bases clearing, bases loaded double by Moises Alou that could have been scored an error, and certainly under ordinary circumstances would have been handled by Chipper Jones at third base. All 5 runs are unearned off Maddox. Full count with Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach. Conine. Brown covers, 1 out. Here's what Chipper Jones did his last time up.
Jones back in the 3rd inning on a high fastball from Kevin Brown. Hit this one out of here in left center despite a great effort by Devon White. Got the Braves their 2nd run.
Swings on the first one. Another chance for Conine. This one he'll take by himself. 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. Now looking ahead, it's 5-2. We're only in the 5th. But if this kind of advantage holds up and you're Jim Leyland and you're thinking that your plan is to pitch Kevin Brown on 3 days rest in Game 4 and 3 days rest again in Game 7, do you get him out of there maybe an inning earlier than you ordinarily would?
No. This game has to be won before you bring Kevin Brown out. And 5-2 is not an insurmountable lead. If it goes to 9-2, I would agree with you. But the most important thing to Jimmy Leyland is to win this first game. Then you worry about Game 4, and then you worry about Game 7 if you get there.
McGriff takes a ball. Well, if they get out of here with a split, one way or the other, they'd feel very good about things. They have the best home record in baseball, the Marlins do, at 52 and 29. Then they go home for Games 3, 4, and 5.
Under ordinary circumstances, Bob, you may say, well, a split would be great. But if I'm the Florida Marlins, I try to win 2 games here. I mean, you try, of course, but I'm not happy unless I win both games. Because I have seen these Atlanta Braves come back and win 3 games in a row. I mean, ask the St. Louis Cardinals, they got a hit. The Braves are never out of it with their pitching. So if you get a chance, you better put them away as quickly as possible.
The other thing, too, with the lack of work for Kevin Brown over the last 7 days, I mean, this is not going to hurt him at all. I mean, he needs the work, and they've got the lead, and you're right, Joe.
Hits sharply, and Counsell picks it up and throws him out. Tough chance for Craig Counsell, but a 1-2-3 inning for Brown, and it's 5-2. Charles Johnson, Craig Counsell, and the pitcher Kevin Brown, the scheduled hitters, in the Florida 6th. They lead it 5-2. Greg Maddux and Kevin Brown opposed each other twice this year. Each pitched very well both times. Neither had a decision in either of those 2 games. They yielded a combined 4 earned runs in 30 innings of work in those 2 games. Fouled off 2-1. One wound up being a 3-2 Marlin victory in 12 innings. The other, a 2-1 Atlanta victory. Yeah. 3-1 to Johnson, who was struck out and then doubled home a run. Wide of first. McGriff for a look. It's in the seats.
You talk about this kid Charles Johnson, and everybody says the same thing about him. One of the best catchers to come along either league in such a very long time. Bobby Cox talked about him tonight. That was one of the things he wanted to make sure that we talked about, or said that he talked about, the fact that this guy really controls a game from time to time as far as your whole running situation goes.
Fans for the 2nd time tonight. That's the 7th strikeout for Greg Maddux. Here's the pitch sequence against him.
Well, Maddux went away. Remember, he hit an off-speed pitch for a double, so he stays away, and then he falls behind. He finally gets behind. This will make the 3rd ball away. Now watch this. He still doesn't give in. That's a moving fastball up and in. Now he goes back away with the changeup. Just beautiful pitching. I mean, he just never lets you get set in the batter's box.
Counsell is singled and been intentionally walked.
And there are the pitches. The last one being 82 miles an hour changeup. And you can hear Maddux scolding himself out there. On the 2-1 pitch to Johnson, he yelled at himself, and now here again to Counsell.
I hope he's scolding himself.
He was. He gives you that mild-mannered impression, but he is a competitor. He is a perfectionist.
Has that outwardly placid demeanor, but a certain kind of competitive intensity. The 2-1 pitch. Counsell drops a bunt, but it's foul. You look at Maddux, and much has been made of this, barely 6 feet tall, 175 pounds. But much of what he does involves mental edges. You get the feeling he would be a heck of a chess player, thinking several moves ahead, throwing you off your game.
That's why I said you can't really think along with him during a ball game, because you're going to get too confused.
I look at him more as a spy, just to get away from the athletic part of it.
You mean like in Stratego?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Strategio.
Whatever.
In Italian.
Full count.
He's one of those guys, you'd look at him, you'd never assume that he would be something associated with espionage. I mean, how about a spy pitcher? A spy pitcher, a spy during the off-season and a big league pitcher during the summer.
But isn't that the essence of espionage, to go unnoticed?
I don't know about perfumes, but
Blauser leaps but can't get it. And Counsell has his second hit of the night. Luckily, short-circuiting a conversation that was headed for nowhere.
You noticed I stayed out.
you're welcome to jump in anytime, Joe.
Here's Blauser. He tries to time his leap, but it's just off the tip of his glove. This was a changeup down and away, and he hit it softly, and Blauser trying to get up. Could not get up. Couldn't play shooting guard in the NBA with that leap.
So Brown, who has sacrificed and struck out. At the beginning of the game, I asked you if Maddux might be the best ever. You said maybe. Despite the fact that he's trailing here 5-2, let's get you to elaborate on that. Brown looking to bunt, pops it up. Maddux lets it drop, and then wheels and gets the play at second base to exchange Counsell for Brown.
But he almost made a mistake. He looked at first base, and I don't know why, unless he felt like Counsell was going to be standing near the bag because of the pop-up. Now, this is a wise play to let it drop because you exchange a base runner for a pitcher. Now, Maddux lets it drop. He looked at first base. Now he has to turn and fire to second. He thought Counsell would be close enough that he could force Brown first and then get Counsell in a rundown. That's what he was thinking, but Counsell did a good job of anticipating what Maddux was doing. He saw him spread his hands and let it drop, and he took off. So good base running there by Counsell.
So Brown becomes the runner at first, and here's Devon White. Struck out twice and then was thrown out trying to bunt. So Maddux knew exactly what he was doing. If Counsell had been frozen, the throw to first, McGriff could have stepped on the bag to retire Brown and then gotten Counsell between first and second.
Exactly. So he looks at first in case Counsell stayed there, and he says, see, I was going to come to you, but he's telling him that he made a good play. And McGriff was on the bag waiting for it.
The 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. Okay, so where does Maddux rank?
Well, it's hard for me to rank him. I'll tell you the way I've always answered that question. Sandy Koufax had the best stuff of anyone I've ever seen. Bob Gibson was the toughest competitor of anyone I've ever seen. Juan Marichal could change speeds and get you off balance better than anyone I've ever seen. Then I got to go to Steve Carlton, and I've got to go to Tom Seaver. But
so basically, you're not offending anybody
no.
here.
Well, no, I don't think you can. I mean, if you look at these players that I just mentioned, I mean, they would probably be doing the same thing that Maddux is doing in the game today.
I go along with what Joe said. I mean, there's Jim Bunning. I mean, you talk about guys that Warren Spahn. I mean, a guy that was equal to anybody in all of baseball history.
Devon White skies one to left. Ryan Klesko in pursuit, and Klesko leaping after nearly misjudging the ball and takes it at the edge of the track. No fielding clinic tonight by the Braves, but it's still 5-2.
And let's take a look at Ryan Klesko as he turns this routine play into a great play. And watch, he has to reach back. He overran it, and the ball was behind him, but he makes a great play just to come up with it. And Devon White, who has not had a hit in this ballgame, struck out twice, is just hoping that this ball will get over his head for an extra base hit. And now he sees that, no, it truly is 0 for 4 in this ball game.
So you finish up your point about Maddux.
Well, in catching some of the all-time greats, Bob, in people like Bob Gibson and Warren Spahn and Jim Bunning, I mean, Hall of Famers themselves, they're totally different types.
Right.
But when you talk about pitchers in that kind of a category and put Greg Maddux in there, certainly one day he'll probably be there, but a totally different game plan.
Klesko lost one to left. He has great power in that direction, and he just lost one.
Chipper Jones does so well is they go the other way. So he doesn't try to pull this pitch. Fastball running away a little bit, and he goes that way with it. And Moises Alou back to the wall, as Devon White did, but can't come back, bring that one back.
So just as Chipper Jones did, leading off the third, Klesko takes the first pitch of the inning out of here.
And again, a high fastball, high outside fastball, right about belt high, and Klesko hit it.
And you might mention that a fastball or a sinker ball pitcher that is belt high is a high pitch.
1-1 to Michael Tucker, who's walked twice. Florida in the sixth. Two and two. The catcher, Javi Lopez, is on deck. And then Jeff Blauser. Marlins got 3 in the top of the first. Braves came back with 1 in their half. 2 more for Florida in the top of the third, as Cook, the veteran left-hander, and the hard-throwing Cuban Livan Hernandez get ready in the Florida bullpen. 2 more for Florida in the top of the third. A solo homer by Chipper Jones in the third, and 1 here in the sixth by Klesko. Cut a 5-1 deficit to 5-3, and Bruce Fleming really had a piece taken out of him by that foul back.
That was a tough foul tip, and Bruce Fleming, veteran National League umpire, he's been around a long time. He's a tough guy. Watch this foul tip. I think it got him right off the shoulder, and it did. And again, the umpire wears a similar chest protector to what a catcher does. And there is an area off your shoulder on each side where you're vulnerable, and that's where that ball hit Bruce Fleming. Being checked now by the Atlanta trainer. He's going to be all right. Fleming will stay in there. That's about it's
got it right there.
Yep. That area right there, they almost wear a shoulder pad type protector, and in difference to what a catcher wears, it isn't that big for a catcher. Watch this. It hit just below that, and in an area where you're unprotected there. If you look at what Charles Johnson is wearing, catchers wear that little pad somewhere, a pad now over the right shoulder to protect that. And your extension on a chest protector is normally over the left shoulder. But catchers have smartened up in the last few years, too, to save that right shoulder.
Still 2-2 to Tucker. Fleming back to work, although no doubt seeing stars mixed in with the balls and strikes. Down low and inside, 3-2. Brown wants a new baseball. He's walked 3. He's struck out 3. He leads 5-3. he works here in the bottom of the 6th. Tucker has walked for the 3rd time tonight. Tomorrow on NBC, Tony Danza in his new show. There's Tony, plus Built to Last, a great new episode of Third Rock, the premiere of Working starring Fred Savage and a Law & Order everyone will be talking about, all tomorrow on NBC.
I wouldn't think Jim Leyland would wait too much longer with Kevin Brown. He's laboring here in the 6th inning. Huge ball game for both ball clubs to grab that lead in the series. And let's see what happens here now.
Javi Lopez, who hit 23 homers this year, hits one to center. Shallow. Here comes Devon White, waving everybody off to make the catch.
Devon White, one of those center fielders at the crack of the bat. You know if that ballpark or the ball is catchable. He's got such a great gait, and even balls that are hit deep. You watch his initial break, and he'll tell you if the ball is catchable, if it's going to go out of the ballpark, if he thinks he's got a chance at it. Crack of the bat, there he is. He's in cruise now. I got it. Solid center fielder. Boy, he covers a lot of ground.
Tucker getting back as Blauser settles into the box. Tommy Gregg has moved into the on-deck circle, and he apparently will hit for Maddox unless Blauser hits into a double play here. There's the veteran reserve player. Slow roller foul. Ordinarily, Keith Lockhart would be the top pinch hitter for Bobby Cox, but he's pressed into starting service tonight, as he has been many times in the past few weeks because of the absence of Mark Lemke. Blauser has been hit by a pitch and singled. He's behind in the count 0-2. Denny Nagel, the left-hander, Mike Cather, the right-hander, and Nagel, as Cox told us, could be used out of the bullpen. He's the Game 4 starter, but could be used out of the bullpen either tonight or tomorrow, and still pitch Game 4 as a starter. This could be a double play ball. Counsell has trouble with it, and they'll settle for one as Renteria is cut down by Michael Tucker.
And Renteria may be hurt here. Tucker went in hard, and it looked to be a good slide. He was well within reach of second base. If the ball is not bobbled by Craig Counsell, it's a cinch double play. When he bobbled it, though, that gave the runner time to get in there and knock Renteria down, and he's hurt. There it is again. The bobble by Counsell, and again a good slide, and he hooked his leg. He hooked Renteria's leg coming across the bag, but Tucker was well within reach of second base. He may have cut his right toe. It looked like the spike of Michael Tucker may have caught the foot of Renteria. He's still down, and one more time. Watch the right foot of Tucker and the right foot of Renteria. And still down, and he may have been cut. We'll have to wait and see. It's the left leg, and he's got the stockings are down, and the pants are up, and evidently Edgar Renteria has been cut. It's the left leg on the shin, and again, it was not a bad slide by Tucker at all.
No, right here, watch, right there, he hits him just below the knee, and his spike was going in, so his spike cut him. There it is right there. His foot is sliding in with his toe, and the spike is up, and it hits Renteria, and he gets cut. Devon White was yelling at the umpire saying that, you know, he should have called that, but I don't think you can make a call like that.
I think he's going to stay in the game, too, Joe. It appears as though he's going to stay in the game. He couldn't have been cut that badly. There's nobody else coming out. And Renteria is obviously going to stay in the game. He says he's all right. They've taped him up, bandaged him up, and he's in there.
Jim Gray may have more. Let's go to him.
All right, Bob, down here at the Florida dugout. Jim Leyland just walked back into the dugout and told some of his coaches he's got a cut on his left shin. He wants to continue. Cut isn't too bad. They've stopped the bleeding, and he'll stay in the game. Bob?
And now as Renteria resumes his position at shortstop, Tommy Gregg comes off the bench. 34-year-old journeyman. And he's been just about everywhere, mostly Atlanta in the big leagues, although he was briefly with Florida in 1995. But 8 or 9 different minor league stops along the way. 0 for 8 as a pinch hitter this year, 263 overall. He's had his moments, as you see, over the years in a pinch. 6 home runs in this role. 2-0. And that one is just off the corner. 3 balls and no strikes. Gregg was with the Braves in the 1991 World Series, one of the great World Series ever played, against the Minnesota Twins. They lost it in 7. So he saw postseason action that year. Takes a strike, 3-1. And he bounces the 3-1 pitch to Counsell. That finishes the Braves in the 6th. They get a run on the leadoff homer by Klesko. They creep to within 2. Denny Nagel, who was 20-5 for the year, but nonetheless is the 4th ranking starter as the postseason rotation is set up, will be used out of the bullpen now by Bobby Cox.
Well, they want to get him some innings in because he hasn't pitched for a while, and he's not supposed to pitch until the 4th game. So you at least want to get him some live action before he makes his first start in this series.
Now, you said that yesterday, Joe. Rather than throwing on the sidelines, just in the bullpen, he'd rather come in and work an inning in the game if possible.
Renteria, who was spiked but managed to stay in the game, leads it off in the 7th. 1 more games than any of those called upon to start ahead of him for either team. But when you've got Maddox and you've got Glavine and you've got Smoltz, all of whom have been Cy Young Award winners, Maddox 4 times, Nagel has to wait.
And he was hit by the pitch.
Renteria will emerge from this game wearing a Purple Heart.
Well, at least it doesn't get him on the same leg. They got him on the back foot, got him on his right foot. It's a slider down and in, and it hits him right on the back foot. So take a look at this pitch. 80-mile-an-hour breaking ball down and in, and well off the plate inside.
Now Sheffield. I'm not so sure how spry Renteria is feeling right now, but he did steal a base back in the 1st and swiped 32 for the year.
Well, he didn't do Nagel a lot of favors bringing him in against the middle of this lineup. You got Sheffield next, and Benier's actually a better hitter from the right side.
And then 2 more righties, Conine and Alou, to follow. Sheffield is walked, reached on a 3-base error at the wall by Lofton, and then lined hard to Lofton in center.
that's been out for quite a while, Joe. Didn't see any other action. And being used here tonight, as we talked about Kevin Brown, the fact that he was out 7 days between assignments, and the same may hold true for Nagel here tonight. He's rusty, but he wanted to pitch. Instead of just throwing on the sidelines, he wanted game action.
There's a strike. The way things stand now, when Nagel takes the ball for Game 4 at Florida, he'll be opposed by Kevin Brown, who's scheduled to work 1, 4, and 7. And looking all the way to a possible 7th game. In that case, it would be Smoltz against Brown if the rotations hold. Nagel would get just 1 start, the way things are set up now, in Game 4. And if it went a full 7, Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz would each start twice. The 2-1 pitch. He lays off, and it's 3-1. Charlie Williams saw it the same way Bruce Fleming did.
And there you see the career against Nagel. He's hit him very hard. But right now, Gary Sheffield is locked in. So he was chasing a lot of pitches out of the strike zone earlier this season when he got himself in trouble down around the 220 mark. As he started to be more patient, getting pitches to hit, his average soared, and he's been swinging the bat very well the last 2 weeks.
Called strike, full count.
There's Denny Nagel painting the outside corner.
The Braves will send up the top of their order in the bottom of the 7th. Nagel trying to keep it a 2-run game until then.
Nagel's not afraid to come inside. I don't know if that's a smart pitch in this situation, but he will.
The runner on 3-2, and Renteria will have to come back.
Well, he got it almost inside. That's not exactly where he wanted it. He had painted the outside corner. Now watch, this pitch comes inside, but not enough inside. When you take a look at this pitch, it almost gets a lot of the plate. 89-mile-an-hour fastball with only a 2-inch movement. Not enough to fool a guy like Gary Sheffield.
Renteria edges away. He takes off again, and this ball is hit softly and toward the seats, out of play.
A couple of times he's come off the outside or around the middle to the outside against Sheffield, Joe, and he's really flirting out there. Instead of, I mean, if he's going to try and come inside, really jam him inside, because I think Sheffield, with a runner moving, and he loves hitting with runners aboard. He chases bad pitches from time to time. There's that last pitch, and Sheffield hit it foul to right.
The speed fooled him on that pitch. That was like a change-up, and it fooled him a little bit. It was an 80-mile-an-hour change-up.
Renteria breaks again, and this one is whistled into center field for a hit. Renteria wheels around second. Runners at the corners with nobody out.
That ball almost handcuffed Kenny Lofton in center field on the bounce. Really hit hard by Sheffield. And again, it looked like something off speed out away from him. And watch the hop. Watch the hop as Lofton goes to field this ball. This ball is really hit like a rocket. Watch Lofton's reaction. Watch this reaction on the second hop. That ball handcuffed him. Hit that hard.
Now it's only 2 hitters, one of whom was hit by a pitch, and the next lines a 3-2 pitch into center for a single. But it might be worth noting that this is the first time all year in any situation that Nagel has worked out of the bullpen. 34 appearances prior to this, all of them starts.
That's definitely different coming out of the bullpen. But when you're facing a Gary Sheffield who is swinging the bat as well as he is now, you shouldn't be upset that he hits a line drive like that.
struck out twice and walked.
And he's a much more disciplined hitter from the right side. We saw him chase some breaking ball and off-speed pitches in the dirt from Maddox. You will not see him chase a lot of pitches from the right side. Much better hitter from this side.
He's been bothered by a sore left wrist much of the season, and it bothers him more swinging lefty. Again says nothing doing.
Notice Charlie down low. There's a little changeup down low and away, and again, Bonilla didn't offer. Here it is again, 79 miles an hour, breaking down and away from Bobby Bonilla, and Charlie Williams says no, he didn't go. Get another look from a different angle. Yeah, he checked.
Nagel with a snap throw over, but Sheffield dives back. Notice Charlie Williams' style. When they call upon him for an appeal, he doesn't even make eye contact with the catcher who asked for it. He looks the other way, and it's like, hey, forget about it. Nice little bottle of sparkling water, perhaps, in his back pocket.
Wouldn't that be something if it came with the uniform?
Hope they change it then when it comes back from the cleaners.
Well, it saves him having to run in and out of the dugout every couple of innings to get some water.
Charlie, up here, baby.
The 3-0 pitch is a called strike with Bonilla already on his way to first.
Bobby Bonilla didn't want to walk. He wants to hit here.
Yeah.
He was a little upset at that call, but he wants to hit. He's got to hit here. First and third, nobody out. Up by 2.
Hitter's dream.
Absolutely.
In a 3-1 count?
Heck yeah.
And he pops it into shallow center field. Blauser out. Lofton in. Lofton calls him off, makes the catch, and the runners will hold.
He went out of the strike zone there. That pitch was up and out of the strike zone. Watch this, a high fastball up and out of the strike zone, and Bonilla goes up to get it, and he just can't get on top of it. He gets underneath it, and he pops it up. 88 miles an hour, not a lot of movement. It was just up in the strike zone. You'll see it's tailing away just a little bit, but it's the height of the pitch is what got Bonilla that time.
He knows that he took a rip at ball 4. First and third, 1 out now. Conine, who's 0 for 3, swings on the first one, and here's a fly into shallow right. Renteria with good speed tags. Tucker makes the catch. They'll challenge him. The throw on the way, and he is out.
NBC's coverage of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Nissan, who reminds you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher. You don't have to live thirsty. Life is a sport. Drink it up. By Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. And by fast, reliable FedEx. It's the way the world works.
Well, the Marlins played it aggressively. They sent Renteria on the fly ball to Tucker, but he pegs it to Lopez and cuts him down.
Well, he had made a perfect throw earlier in the ball game, and this is another perfect throw. A one-hopper right to Javi Lopez. He doesn't block the plate, but he gets Renteria before he gets there. I think it's a good play, but it took a perfect throw to get him, and it was a perfect throw. And he's out.
Here's another look. That throw by Michael Tucker, one hopper, perfect to Lopez. Renteria's had a tough inning plus here, but look at the tough slide he put on Lopez, and look where the front foot ends up on Javi Lopez. Ow! Ooh! Wow! There's some high fives for Michael Tucker. Important thing is Javi Lopez is okay.
Well, he bounced right back up, so the protective equipment doing its job in this case.
But make no mistake about it, that was a really big run that he cut down at the plate.
It remains 5-3. And now Dennis Cook comes on, the veteran left-hander. Kevin Brown is done. He stands to be the winner, and Maddox the loser right now. Lofton takes a strike after bluffing the bunt.
And they're in the 7th inning. What they're trying to do is get to the 9th inning so they can bring in Rob Nen. So it'll be up to Dennis Cook and maybe one other pitcher in the 8th to get them to Rob Nen.
And Lofton pops it up. He's going to be 0 for 4, and now 2 for 17 in the postseason. After slumping in the season's last 3 weeks, coming into the divisional series and now the LCS. Regional action coming up Sunday at 12 noon Eastern with the NFL on NBC. After the pregame show, Dan Marino and the Dolphins take on the Jets. The Bills battle Bledsoe and the Patriots, or it'll be the Bengals against the Oilers. Your local listings will let you know what game will be seen in your area. The NFL on NBC Sunday at 12 noon Eastern Time.
And the reason he brought Dennis Cook in, he had left-hander Lofton, left-hander Lockhart, and Chipper Jones is a better hitter from the left side.
A ball to Lockhart. In fact, only one of Chipper Jones' 21 home runs was hit right-handed this year. One and one to Lockhart, who's 1 for 3, a first-inning double. Kevin Brown pitched 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned. Struck out 3, walked 4, hit a man. Allowed solo homers to Chipper Jones and Ryan Klesko. Leaves on the long end of a 5-3 score. Did that graze him? It did.
Got him.
If you're going to be hit, that's the way.
An inside fastball from Dennis Cook. Just grazed Keith Lockhart. You could hear it a little bit. Here it is, inside fastball, tailing in on him and just grazing. Just grazed him. Watch Lockhart turn around and tell Bruce Fremming, it got me. It got me. Yep, it sure did, says Bruce Fremming. Here it is, just a glancing blow. That's what he said. It got me. Lockhart aboard.
Chipper Jones, while batting left-handed, homered and twice grounded to Conine unassisted at first. Turned around to the right side here. And a ball from Dennis Cook. Jay Powell, who throws very hard, is the right-hander. Veteran left-hander Ed Vosberg also loosening up. For now, it's Dennis Cook, who turned 35 a few days ago. He falls behind Chipper Jones, 2-0.
Well, how big was that throw now by Michael Tucker to keep this a 2-run game? Lockhart aboard now. Jones ahead 2-0 to Dennis Cook. Big play by Michael Tucker and Lopez.
Pitch hit high and deep to left, but Moises Alou will be under it, shy of the track. So that's the second out in the Atlanta 7th.
Well, he had to come fastball 2-0. He got it in a pretty good spot toward the inside corner, and Chipper could not get the barrel of the bat out on it.
Yeah, you can see on the replay he didn't get the good wood on it. Not quite on the trademark, but close to it.
And there was an 85-mile-an-hour fastball that was cutting in. And everyone on the bench, you know, thought he may have a chance. But when Chipper got back, he told him, no, I got it toward the handle. No chance. But he had a good pitch to hit, and he had him in a good hitter situation.
Now McGriff. And a called strike.
You take a look at McGriff, you're going to throw him fastballs like that. That was on the inside corner. That's where you want to throw him, and then stay away from him. You establish something inside, as Cook did there, and then you try to go away, get him to reach for something so he can't hurt you by driving the ball.
McGriff will be 34 on Halloween. Has the scouting report changed on him as the years have gone by?
Well, I think it's changed a little bit that you can pound him inside a little bit more. You always tried to stay away from him, but before he could take that ball and hit it to left field and hit it out of the ballpark. But now you can pound him inside more, and he's not as capable of reaching the ball away.
That's off the outside corner, 2-1.
You're talking about pounding him, Joe. It's got to be something hard, too. Anything mediocre inside, he can turn around on. We showed that earlier tonight in a graphic on where McGriff hits, for the most part, throughout the regular season. It's got to be something hard inside, otherwise he'll turn on it.
McGriff steps out. Dennis Cook is with his 7th Major League club.
There's always a premium for left-handers who can throw strikes. They will always have a place.
Griff is swinging a miss there on something might have been a change at that time. Dennis Cook, with his good fastball, is in the 90, 91-mile range. This time it looked like he pulled something, pulled a string a little bit, and had McGriff. It looked like McGriff was out in front. Change of pace that time from Dennis Cook.
Lockhart, who was hit by a pitch, leads away from first with 2 out. And that ball clicks off McGriff's bat.
No, it hit McGriff.
He's claiming that it hit him.
He didn't react quick enough.
And Bruce Fleming is not giving him the base.
It definitely hit him on the back arm. But to Bruce's defense, you can't tell. We'll be able to see the ball and hit him right on the arm. And you see the deflection right there. Yep. Bruce thought it was a foul ball, but there's no way for you to tell just by the way that McGriff reacts. Watch, it's below his bat, so you see it's a foul. It couldn't be a foul ball. It hits him off of the elbow, but that's a tough call for the umpire in that situation. Now watch, it looks like it fouls off of his bat if you're Bruce Fromming.
And everyone in the ballpark at first assumed foul ball, myself included, because Fleming gave no indication of hit by pitch. But McGriff didn't help himself out because he didn't recoil. He didn't give it any kind of act that would have indicated to Fleming, wait a minute, it got him on the arm.
That's the way that ball hit him. I mean, that ball hit him flush. Not a glancing blow. It hit him flush. I'm surprised he didn't drop the bat and go right away, but he didn't. You're right.
He definitely didn't react like the ball hit him.
McGriff had an RBI single in the first. Since then, he's grounded out twice. The 2-2 pitch. Slapped to short. Renteria gets the force with his toss to Counsell, taking care of Lockhart there. The Braves have just 2 more turns at bat left, and they trail by 2 after 7.
Well, the Florida Marlins come to bat here in the top half of the 8th inning, sending Moises Alou to lead things off against Denny Nagel. Bob Costas is out shaking hands with a lot of folks behind the broadcast booth here. Everybody enjoying that. He's actually asking people to come in and shake hands. He'll be back here in a minute. A ball and no strikes on Moises Alou.
Well, Denny Nagel wiggled his way out of trouble in the last inning after going through the middle of the lineup, but Moises Alou led the team in RBI, so he's still not gone out of trouble.
He's back again. How'd the glad handing go?
You know, sometimes it's best just to proceed about your business. 2-1.
You made everybody out there happy. Thank you, buddy.
Alou will be followed by Johnson and Counsell as the Marlins try to build on a 5-3 lead in the 8th. Jim Leyland doesn't have to contest this LCS against the Braves at Fulton County Stadium. That's history. So in a sense, this ought to blunt the memories of what happened in 91 and 92. This looks like it'll make the seats. Especially 92, when Francisco Cabrera came up as the last man available to Bobby Cox and delivered the two-out, two-run RBI hit with Sid Bream sliding across, scoring from second just ahead of Barry Bonds' throw and Mike LaVallier's tag. Leland's Pirates had trailed that series 3-1, come back to even it, and then led behind Doug Drabek 2-0 going to the bottom of the ninth. A Jose Lind error started the inning. One thing followed another, and Francisco Cabrera delivered really the only big hit of his life, at least in a situation like that. The only one he'll be remembered for
His 15 minutes.
15 minutes of fame at the time, but we're still talking about it 5 years later. Lou hits one softly into shallow center field. Lockhart back, Lofton in. Lockhart has it.
Let's take a look at where some of these great hitters in this game stand in the batter's box. First, let's take a look at Freddie McGriff. Look at all the area here. He's way off the plate because most of the pitches are inside, and he has a slow bat, so he has a long swing. It takes him a little while to get there, as you can see. That's where they pound him. And Gary Sheffield, on the other side, stands very close because they do not pitch him inside. Most of the pitches are going to be out here, and he has to be able to reach them. And there's the pitch to Sheffield out and away, and he still hit it hard.
As we mentioned a few days ago when the Marlins were playing the Giants, Charles Johnson could hit 150, and you'd still want him in the lineup. But he's improved offensively to the point where he hit 250 this year. And this after being at just 216 at the All-Star break. So he had a decent second half, better than decent.
I was going to say, remember when Jim Leyland told us that he was the guy that was responsible for getting the Marlins going, jump-starting the Marlins in the month of August. He said he really got hot, and that's what turned him around.
He wound up with 19 home runs. So if he can do that kind of work with the bat, and it figures that he'll improve, this is just his third full season, coupled with the fact that he's already by far the league's best defensive catcher, hard to overstate his value. Liner caught by Lockhart. Barely a year after their Olympic triumph, Terry Strug and the rest of America's gold medal winning Magnificent Seven are reunited, and they're back in Atlanta. The John Hancock presents the Gold Medal Gymnastics Reunion, Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Olympic gymnastics, of course, took place at the Georgia Dome about 2 miles from here. A strike to Craig Counsell, who's 2 for 2 with an intentional walk. Nagel in his second inning of work out of the bullpen for the first time this year. At shortstop, Blauser. And the Marlins go quickly in the 8th. Former President Jimmy Carter, a regular at games first at Fulton County Stadium and now at the new Turner Field. And the Hall of Famer Lou Brock, who was always at his best in the big games, in the World Series games. Ryan Klesko, Michael Tucker, and Javi Lopez against Dennis Cook in the bottom of the 8th. Fastball, and he threw it by him.
Well, if you throw it in that spot, you can get it by him all day. Got to get it above the belt and inside. That's where you try to pitch Ryan Klesko.
Up high, 1-1.
The one thing that I like about Charles Johnson is that he does not give away location too quickly. That was going to be another fastball in under the hands, but he did not set up until the pitcher was on his way. He does not let you know where the pitch is going to be.
1-2 to Klesko, who hasn't given the fielders a chance tonight. He's walked, struck out, and then homered.
Dennis Cook in the series against the Giants came on in relief and really did an outstanding job. There he showed the fastball, Joe, in that series where he was in the 90-plus range. Got a good breaking ball, good curveball.
Johnson setting up on the outside corner, and Cook missing high. 2-2. Powell and Vosberg, who were throwing earlier, continue to do so. Although Rob Nen is the closer. We're in the 8th. Nobody on, nobody out. And the 2-2 pitch. Popped it up. Shallow center field, Renteria.
Another good pitch by Cook inside on Klesko, and he had to shorten his arms. Here's the first pitch. Fastball in under the hands. Perfect pitch. Misses with one in. Then he goes outside corner, strike 2. He misses away on this pitch. Now he comes back in under the hands, and there's nothing he can do but shorten his arms and pop it up. Good pitching there by Dennis Cook. And they waited until they announced Andruw Jones.
With the left-hander on the mound, there's Klesko after popping out. Disgusted with himself. With the left-hander Cook on the mound, they pulled Michael Tucker back, set up right-handed swinging Andruw Jones. But just as quickly, Leland will counter, and apparently Jay Powell will come in when we come back. Dennis Cook did his job. Now he's been pulled. 25-year-old Jay Powell comes on. He was 7-2 for the year. A native of Meridian, Mississippi, lives now in Tennessee. Facing Andruw Jones. Jones, you'll recall, made such a big splash last year, went all the way from A ball to the majors in the space of one season, and homered his first 2 times up in the World Series at Yankee Stadium. And in the process became the youngest man at age 19 at the time to ever hit a World Series home run. He's behind on the count, 0-2.
And this is how they try to pitch him, breaking balls away. He got off to a pretty good start, but around the middle of the season, they threw him a steady diet of breaking balls.
And he goes down looking.
That didn't take very long. A couple of breaking balls and a fastball right on the outside corner to put him away. 96 miles an hour on that last fastball from Powell.
Jones muttering to himself as he walks off. His difficulties continue. He hit barely 100 the last couple of months.
Here's that sequence. Fastball right on the outside corner to get him looking.
Now Javi Lopez. Breaking ball inside.
So far, Jim Leyland has had this Atlanta team in a box in this lineup. He was able to bring Dennis Cook in to face 4 or 5 hitters that he wanted, and now he's got his right-hander set up to come in, Jay Powell now, and Rob Nen to finish the ball game if Powell can get out of this inning.
You see John Cangelosi, the veteran pinch hitter, with a bat. The pitcher's spot is due to lead off in the top of the 9th, and they'll probably hit for Powell and then bring Nen in.
Jim Leyland was up yelling that should not have been a pitch, and it's not. It was timeout was called.
Somebody threw
1 ball and no strikes.
Somebody threw something in the outfield out in right field, and time had been called by the right field umpire, Frank Pulley, I believe.
If you're just joining us, the Marlins got 5 unearned runs, 3 in the first and 2 in the third off Greg Maddux. Kevin Brown, who was born in McIntyre, Georgia, and still lives in Macon, Georgia, who pitched for a while and earned All-American status at Georgia Tech, stands right now to be the winner. Cook had a brief and effective stint. Howell now trying to put the finishing touches on the 8th. 3-1. Shot to short. Renteria. The Braves go out in order. 3 outs left to them. Marlin bullpen doing the job.
NBC's coverage of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Come by your local authorized dealer and fall in love. By Fidelity Investments, where 12 million investors put their trust. By Canon Laser Color, its only competition is reality. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping people live safer, more secure lives. That's the freedom of liberty.
We go to the 9th at Turner Field with the Marlins, who won 8 of 12 during the regular season from Atlanta, leading this one 5-3. Angelosi had a bat in the dugout, but instead Leland is going to get a swing or two for Darren Daulton. Those are the combined numbers between the Phillies and the Marlins. An all-star for the Phils in 92, 93, and 95. He's had 9 different knee surgeries, and yet continues to play through clenched teeth. I think John Vukovich, the longtime Philly coach, put it well. He said, "I've seen better players, I've coached better players, but I have never been around a better leader than Dutch Daulton."
And he was the leader of the Phils for all those years, and partly because he was such a tough competitor and a tough guy.
Nagel's going to work 3 innings here, and he starts the 9th by slipping a called third strike past Daulton.
Fastball on the outside corner that Daulton looked at, and a good fastball and a good pitch. Right on the outside corner.
Let's take a look at the pitches. Fastball in, and the last pitch a slider over the outside part of the plate.
And Daulton takes a seat. This will work out perfectly for Nagel. He'd work game 4 on 3 days rest after pitching 3 innings here and getting no live work since the end of the regular season because the Braves swept the Astros in the division series and never got to his slot in the rotation. So at least this part works out according to plan for Bobby Cox. But the scoreboard is anything but that. 0-2. Rob Nen, as expected, will be asked to close it. A bouncer to third. Chipper Jones charges, short hops it, makes a nice play. And Devon White wears an 0 for 5 collar.
And this is the play that Chipper Jones makes. He comes charging in, and he gets it on the short hop, and that's the way you want to make the play. You either catch the ball on the short hop, or you wait back and get it on the big hop. He had to come get it and made a nice play.
Wait back on the big hop, and you're not going to throw out Devon White at first.
Here's Renteria, who was the first man Nagel faced. He hit him with a pitch. Sheffield followed that with a single, but since then, Nagel has set everyone down. A ball and a strike. Bobby Cox refers to the baseball postseason as a crapshoot, and he's right. They've been in 5 previous National League Championship Series. The only one they lost was probably with their best single-season team in this run of excellence, 1993, when they won 104 games, 1-2, but lost to the Phillies in the LCS. And much is made of the fact that they've managed to win only 1 World Series, and that somehow takes away from all they've accomplished. And yet the one World Series they won was probably against the best team they faced in all those World Series, at least for a single season, the 1995 Cleveland Indians. Down goes Renteria. The Braves need 2 in their half to keep this thing going. Ned coming in, and we're stepping aside for just a moment. Here's the schedule the rest of the way for our coverage of the NLCS. Tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific time. And after an off day Thursday, double circles from Joe Morgan there, making excellent use of the telestrator. That would be 4 o'clock. Off day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if necessary. We're in Florida, then back here Tuesday and Wednesday if a 6th or 7th game is required. Well, everybody knows Rob Nen is one of baseball's best closers. No one knows it better than the Atlanta Braves this year. In 4 save opportunities against Atlanta, he's been perfect. But this is more impressive. He's appeared in 8 games against them, pitched 8 innings, allowing no runs, 2 hits, striking out 15, and walking 1. Awesome. So Blauser, who's been hit by a pitch, singled and grounded out, starts it in the 9th with Greg Colburn on deck, the former Marlin. Greg was the only lefty he had on the bench. Colburn will be used next, which leaves him Bautista, Graffinino, and Belliard. To the Braves shortstop.
You get a picture of Rob Nen. He throws very hard, 95 miles an hour plus. He doesn't have a lot of movement on his fastball, so he's at his best when he throws a breaking ball and mixes in some other pitches.
Out of play. The Braves need a man to reach for the tying run to come to the plate. They trail 5-3 in the bottom of the 9th. You wanted to follow up on that point about Bobby Cox. I mean, they've won only 1 of the 4 World Series in which they've participated, but there's no denying that they have been, through the 90s, baseball's best team, even with Toronto's back-to-back World Championships in 92 and 93. Another 0-2 pitch. Foul tip, and Johnson couldn't hold it.
And the point is that they have not had any down periods, Bobby, as you mentioned. Toronto won a couple of championships. They've had some down periods. Minnesota won. They had down periods. This ball club has not had any down periods in the last 6 years. I mean, that's amazing. But unfortunately, sometimes you're only graded by how many championships you win. That's not only as a team, but as a player as well.
Again on 0-2. And this one misses. And it just shows how unpredictable a short series can be and bears repeating. The 1 LCS they lost out of the 5 prior to this one was probably with their best single-season team. And the 1 World Series out of 4 they won was against their stiffest competition. Blauser continues to battle Nen.
Charles Johnson just got nicked for the 2nd time in this at-bat by Jeff Blauser. Again, another fastball from Rob Nen. Watch this. Here's the foul tip by Blauser, and that one nailed Charles Johnson again. That's the 2nd time in this at-bat.
Two and 2. Blauser's doing a good job of making him work.
Again, in this situation, all Nen has to do is throw the ball down the pipe. I mean, you don't want to walk this guy. You want this guy to, if he's going to get on, to hit his way on. Home run doesn't do a thing. Makes it only a 1-run game, but not to walk it.
Nen has it. A high throw. Conine comes back to tag him. A bit of a misadventure, but they get the first out on the 9th.
Nice play on a comebacker to Rob Nen. Ball was hit sharply by Blauser, but he makes a nice play. And then almost a bad throw. That's one of those jobs where you make that lob throw. There's the bad throw. Conine pulls it down and tags Blauser going by. There it is. Conine again, a nice play to pull it down and then tag Blauser going by. Instead of taking that ball, you see it happen so many times with a pitcher, an infielder for that matter. a ball hit at you very, very hard, and instead of making a normal throw, you give it that lollipop job and throw it away. He made a good play to grab the ball off the bat of Blauser, then the high throw and the tag by Konine, and just got him.
Big cut by Colburn, and he comes up empty. He hit .278 this year. 2 homers, 9 RBIs. The Marlins' regular first baseman for a while. In the mid-90s. And he hits this ball in the air to left center field. It's pretty well hit. But calling for it is Devon White on the warning track. And the Marlins are 1 out away from jumping in front in this series.
Take it away, Bobby.
Kevin Brown has had better outings than tonight, but we're going to name him the Chevrolet Player of the Game. Moises Alou was also considered. He had a 3-run double and an RBI groundout. But it appears that Kevin Brown has beaten Greg Maddux in Game 1. It also appears that some nitwit has run onto the field, delaying the proceedings for a while.
And you mentioned Kevin Brown has pitched better than this before against the Braves, but under the circumstances, with this being, you know, League Championship Series, your adrenaline is flowing, and I think he did a great job because more than anything else, he kept them in the ball game, and that's what Jim Leyland was hoping for when he came here. He wants his starting pitchers to keep them in the game because he feels like his bullpen actually matches up better than Atlanta's bullpen, you know, over the course of 7 games.
And again, Brown was 7 days rest, Joe, between starts, and really did. He really did pitch well. He threw the ball well. Got out of the strike zone every once in a while. Upstairs, he got hurt a couple of times upstairs, but he threw good. I'm sure they're happy with it. He's not.
Kenny Lofton has hit the ball hard a couple of times tonight, but his woes at the plate continue. He's 0 for 4. Takes a ball. Lockhart on deck. Bonilla in close at third. Lofton making them throw a strike. One strike away from a Game 1 victory. Could be their 9th in 13 tries against Atlanta this year. And they will have beaten Maddux. A bouncing ball, lofted very fast, charging his counsel. He makes a nice play, and this game is over. So Leyland gets the jump on Bobby Cox. And the bottom line here is defense counts even more in the postseason, and even when you have Greg Maddux going, you don't catch the ball, you don't win.
You're exactly right, Bob. That was the difference in the ball game tonight. Defense.
5 unearned runs, and behind Brown and a strong performance from the bullpen with Nen closing it, the Marlins make it stand up. Join us tomorrow afternoon at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific for Game 2 of the NLCS. Alex Fernandez on the mound for the Marlins against Tom Glavine of the Braves. And coming up after your late local news, it's The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Jay's guests, Whoopi Goldberg, Mark Harmon, and football's Marcus Allen. That's following your late local news tonight on NBC. For Jim Gray, Joe Morgan, and Bob Uecker, I'm Bob Costas. This has been a presentation of NBC Sports, home of the 1997 World Series.